Aloha Kako. My name is Tyler McCain. I am the Hawaiian Genealogist. Today's presentation is going to be on using deeds in your Hawaiian genealogy. Deeds are a really great resource, and I think they're kind of underused, but I have broken through so many brick walls through using deeds. So I just want to show you kind of my process and how I find these deeds and how I process that information. So before we get into any deed research, we first have to look at the history of land ownership in Hawaii. Prior to the Great Mahele in 1848, all of the land in Hawaii was owned by the kings, and it was controlled by the alui nui, or the high chiefs, and that land was farmed by the commoners. And then when Westerners arrived in Hawaii, so did the idea of private land ownership. With the shift from the traditional feudal system, which was the land being owned by the king, to an allodial system, which was private ownership, Kamehameha III created the Land Commission. In 1848, the land was divided into three parts. So one part was the crown lands, which King Kamehameha III reserved for him and his family and his successors. The second third was deemed government land, and that land could be sold and those funds could be used to support the government. And then the last third was the Konohiki lands. And Kuleana lands came from the Konohiki lands. And the people, the commoners, are the ones that cared for, lived on, and farmed that land. And petition could be made to obtain title to that land. The first step for a claimant to obtain title to their land was to make a claim to the land commissioners. Two witnesses were needed to testify that the claimant occupied that land. Oftentimes, these witnesses say who the person got the land from and when they obtained that land. Sometimes family members are named if they got it from family members. And then the Land Commission awarded an LCA, which was short for Land Commission Award, which gave the claimant fee simple title. Finally, a royal patent was issued, which relinquished the interest of the government into the land. In today's presentation, I'm going to show you an example of these documents and show you where to find them. The three main resources that I'm going to be showing you are FamilySearch.org, which has the deeds from 1844 to 1900, the Kapuka database, which has the copies of the Mahele documents, and Awa Konohiki has them as well, but they also have typed transcriptions and some translations. So I'm going to kind of show you my process for researching these, and hopefully you can learn a tip or two from it. So let's go ahead and dive in. All right, so we are on the FamilySearch website, and this is kind of the landing page for the deeds that we're going to be using today. So let me just show you real quick how to get to this page. The first step is you're going to need to create a FamilySearch account. That's free. You just need an email and password because you're going to need an account to view these images. So to get to this page, let's start at the home page here. You're just going to hover over search, click, go down to catalog, and then we're going to hit online for the availability. Then in the search box, just type Hawaii and click this first one. Then you're going to scroll all the way down until you get to the drop-down menu that says Land and Property. And right here, Deeds and under Other Records, that's the one we're going to be using today to find the deeds. All right, so you'll see on this page there's an index here. So that's going to be what we're going to use to find a person, just the index. What's not indexed are the actual deeds themselves. So we're going to go here to Hawaii Grantor and Grantee Index. Right click and open that in a new tab, because once you find the book and page number for the person you're looking for, you're going to have to come back to this page and go into that book. So here's the search page for the deeds. The biggest tip that I have is that, as we know, Hawaiians originally didn't have last names, right? They usually had one name. So I'm going to be, for the purposes of this example, I'm going to be using my ancestor Malolo. So we're going to look for her. And if you try to search it without a first name, it's not going to let you, or sorry, without a last name, it's not going to let you. You're going to have to put something in this last name field. So what I do is put an underscore. I found that's what works best. And then that way you can actually do a search. All right, so here are the search results for Malolo. And you can select through here and see which ones look like your ancestor, using like what island they lived on, or if you know what area they lived in. For the purposes of this example, I know that I'm looking for this one. So again, I always right click and open new tab. That's what I always do. So that way I can go back and forth to these different tabs without having to hit the back button and losing my page. All right, so this is the index page. So this is basically the index of the index, and sort of how this is set up. So I'm going to scroll in here so you can see it better. Kind of instruments, so we got mortgages, that's M, deeds are M. You're going to see some L is in here usually for leases. Then the grantor, that's the person selling the land. Grantee is the person who's buying that land. Then it has the date of instrument. That's just the date that a sale took place. Book and page, that's going to be very important for when we go to look up the original deed, because you're going to always want to look at that original. And then the date of the record, which is usually the date that it was recorded in the deed books. Over here we have the description of that land. So in here is where you're going to find, well, let's go ahead and look at Malolo first. But and then over here on the right side is going to be where that land is situated at. So we're looking for Malolo. And here she is right here. So we're going to look at the second one. So she's selling land to the Pacific Sugar Mill in 1895. And that's going to be recorded in, let's see, book 155, page 188. And we can look at a quick description here. It's a 1/8 interest in royal patents. Remember those royal patents we talked about before? These are going to be important numbers for you to record. So royal patent 930 and royal patent 921 in Hamakua, Hawaii, island of Hawaii. So now we know we need to look at page 155, or sorry, book 155, page 188. So that's where going back to this original search page is going to be super helpful. So let's see, book, what was that? Book 155. Yep, book 155, page 188. So you're going to scroll down a little bit so you get to the deeds. And these volumes are the book numbers. So we're looking for 155 right here. So 155, 53 to 156, it's going to have 155 in it. Open a new tab. And we're looking for page 188. So this started 153 to 156. So this book is going to be 153. And you're going to have to do some manually dragging, clicking and dragging until you find, this is book 54. You're going to know that because you're going to see these white pages, title pages. So one more should be 155. So right here should be book 155, and you can just click on it to confirm that. So yep, 155. Then we're going to go to page 188, so it's just more dragging and clicking, and you might have to go try this a couple times to get it right. So this is 163, we're looking for 188. Nope, too far. Let's see. So one more, should be 188. Yeah, okay, 188, and here she is right here. So this is Malolo to Pacific Sugar Mill. Now we're lucky in this case because this one is actually written in English. Most of the deeds that you're going to find are going to be in Hawaiian. So if you don't know how to read Hawaiian, I have found that Google translate has been super helpful, although you have to kind of play around with it because it doesn't always get things correct. But this one's written in English, so it's super easy for us to read. So reading this, we see that Malolo, she's living in Hamakua on the island of Hawaii, and she's selling to the Pacific Mill Company for $20. Let's see. Right here. Her undivided interest in those premises described in Royal Patent 930 and Royal Patent 921 as one of the grandchildren of Kukahikahi patentee. So, like I said before, I've broken through so many brick walls through deeds because, as you can see right here, when they inherited these royal patents from family members, they usually wrote how they are related to that person. So we know that Malolo is the granddaughter of Kukahikahi. And we have the royal patent numbers 930 and 921. So, great information. So now what are we going to do with it? So now that we have those royal patent numbers and the names, what do we do with that information? So this is where Kapuka database is going to come in really good handy because they have all the Mahele documents on there. So the website is just kapukadatabase.com, and we're just going to enter. Get rid of some of my tabs here. Okay, so here's the search page right here. There's two ways to search. The first way is you could put in the royal patent number or the LCA number, or you can type the name of the person that received that patent. I'm going to write the name in there. So, and you're going to want to look under land awards. That's where these documents are going to be found under. So it shows me there's 3 results. There's that 921. That was a grant, so that was he purchased that from the government. But we're going to actually look at the Land Commission Award. That's what we're going to look at today. So he has 1 grant, so 7398 is the number of the Land Commission Award, and he has 2 parcels. And what's really great about the Kapuka database is that these are actually mapped out, so you can see exactly where your ancestor's land was. So I'm going to look at the 7398 one. So just really quick, if you just want to look at where the land was zoomed in, you can hit this go to button, and that should bring you closer in. Yep. It'll bring you closer in. And we're actually going to do another video later on how to put these into Google Maps, because I like to map it out in Google Maps, all my ancestors' land. But that'll be a video for another time. But to actually get to the view of the documents, we're going to hit this middle button where it says details. And it also zooms in on the location here as well. But here's some good information here. So we have, it was on the island of Hawaii, Moku of Kohala, Ahupuaha of Pu'ukapu, and you can just click around and see what all this different information is. So description of the land and the claimant and everything. Links to other records is where we're going to find all of those documents that we talked about earlier. So they have them labeled here. So the Land Commission Award, this is the actual Land Commission Award. You can zoom in, you can save it if you want to PDF or print it out. So this has the number 4230 for Kukahikahi, and it's all written in Hawaiian, but no problem, because we're going to actually be able to get a translated copy of this, and I'll show you that next. But this shows you, look, first Apana, that's the parcel. So this is the first parcel of land, and it describes it here. And then second parcel of land, and it describes it here. and they also map them out. Okay. And on the sides here is usually written the neighboring landowners. So for all of these, you can see it's just Konehiki land all around. The next piece of document that's in here is the native registers. So remember how the person made that petition, and then they would have those witnesses testify. That's what's going to be in these native registers and testimonies as well. You can see this is written in Hawaiian. The royal patent grant, if you want to see a copy of the actual grant, this is when it was granted to him, and then again those descriptions of the bounds of the land. Okay. And survey boundaries. This is just a typed version of the description of that land. So how do we get a translated version of this? If you can type all this up and use it in Google Translate, which works okay for most of the part. But what I like to do is go to Ava Konehiki, because they have typed out translations as well on here. So the website is avakonehiki.org, and we're going to hit on expert mode, hover over LCA index and search, and click on this LCA advanced search. This brings you to this page. Again, just like in the Kapuka database, there's two ways you can search here. You can search by the number of the LCA or RP, or you can type in the name. I'm going to look up by the numbers. So that was 4230. And over on this left side, so for the purposes of this example, because you can also get the Land Commission Award copies on here as well, just like the ones we got in Kapuka. But if you want to see the translated foreign testimonies and native testimonies, you're going to want to uncheck this and check on right here where it says the FTNT, the foreign testimonies and native testimonies. Click that and hit update. And so we're going to have that translation here. So let me see if I can make this bigger. Yep, right here. So it's going to be that page we looked at before, but it's going to be translated. So number 4230 for Kukahikahi. So he swears and he says, I have seen it in the Ili land of Pu'ukapu in Waimea, Hawaii, in 4 sections. And he's going to describe his land. So he had a house lot, he had a taro patch, 2 crops, another 3 crops. And then, again, this is where he describes where he got his land. So Kainea had given him his interest at the time of Kiopualani. No one has objected to this day. And it should continue on the next page. So we just hit the arrow right here. And then Ulunui has sworn and stated, I have known exactly as Kukahikahi has just stated. So that's kind of how I obtain all of these documents. There is, if you want a more written explanation of everything I kind of covered in this presentation today, the University of Hawaii has a written out step-by-step tutorial on basically everything I've shown you today except for the family search deeds. They don't have anything that I found on there. But as far as the Mahele records, this is a really great website to get started. So you just go through step by step, and like step 1, find the LCA numbers. They have all the books that have the awardee and the LCA numbers. You can use this resource too to find them. And then it's going to talk you through how to get the registers and testimonies, how to obtain those records. And they have also a tutorial on all the databases that I showed you today. So Kapuka database, here's a tutorial, a written out tutorial on how to use it. For me, I like seeing how things are done by example. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I made this video, just so you can see it in action. So that's pretty much how I use deeds as far as Mahele records and how to obtain them. I'm going to be doing a video later on, probably sometime next month, on a case study of how I broke through a really big brick wall, actually with this family, using the deed. So I'm going to kind of walk through my process on how I found that information. So if you guys have any questions or any comments, feel free to comment below. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I also have a Facebook. It's just called the Hawaiian Genealogist. I'll have that link below as well. I'm also going to be linking below all the databases that we used today. And if you have also any ideas, suggestions for any future presentations, go ahead and send me that as well. All right, well, thank you for viewing my video today. I hope you learned a thing or two, and have a happy search.